Things that you know that you don't know, and then there's a world of things that exist that you have no clue about. If this is true, tell me this. When you get into an argument with someone, how do you feel you're so right? If that is true, all that. Odds are against you. Oh, look at you fixing your hair like, how? I want to know, how are you so adamant about a situation being what you believe it to be? If that is true. Based on that alone, wouldn't you want to be more humble or have more humility? Wouldn't you want to be kinder? Understand this. Because if this is true and you're offended or disappointed, how do you take the approach or the mindset that wait a minute, it can't be anything but what I'm thinking? You meant to do it. Oh, I know what you meant when you did that. How? How do you take these positions? How do you take such an adamant stance against that which offended you, if that is true? Because couldn't there be a chance that you're not seeing the whole thing? Couldn't there be a chance? Look at Pastor like, I don't know about your house. First Lady Diane's like, that's right. But how do you take the stance that the way you're seeing it or the way you feel about it is so right if that is true? If you only know what you know, and you know that everything there is isn't up in your head. Everything isn't there. So there's a chance that when you see a situation or you are offended by a situation, that you could be seeing it from a bad position. You could be seeing it from a wrong perspective, or you don't understand it. You just don't understand it. So how? Because when you get into a relationship, you find out that that other person isn't you. No matter how much time you spent with that person, no matter how much you think you know, and they talk about the things that they like, they don't like, the things that they're into, you like, I'm not into that, but I go every time with him or her to go do it, so I'm learning a little bit more about them. Quality time, you know how you're committed to loving them, so you do all these wonderful things to make sure they feel your love, that they know your presence is available, that you have supported them in the past, that you have made sacrifices in the way that you're dealing with your own personal life to do for that other person, so they know how you feel and how you value them. Even that person that you did all that for, you still don't know them, and they don't fully know you. Quality time spent, I'm talking real quality time spent, they still don't know you. See, you're looking at a guy who has failed. You're looking at a guy who wasn't good at stuff. But there are things in my life that most of you guys will know me to be, but it started off that I wasn't. I shared in my last seminar, when we had a lot more people that came from my hometown, I'm known as Rick the Dancer, better known as Dancer, from Mount Vernon. Most of my friends from Mount Vernon, they know me as I am known as a dancer. I didn't know how to dance. I went to a party in Harlem when I was 9 years old, and everyone in the party made fun of me. Stood next to me. I'm thinking they're laughing with me. I'm doing my, what was the song back then? Maybe it was like, you could ring my bell. And the dance was a spank, ring my bell. So, my pants probably with the little AJs with the little thing down the middle. Oh, don't date myself, but there. But, so I'm there dancing and having a good time. Then I'm noticing that people are laughing. Not just a handful of people, almost everybody except for the people that I came with, my sisters and my cousin. They're laughing and laughing. And soon the guy comes next to me and he starts to do my dance, which I thought I was doing fine, next to me. Now he's laughing at me and laughing amongst my friends and my family. I left there at 9 years old, said, not me. I will never, ever be laughed at again for dancing. Went home and practiced. Practiced so much that I turned it into a career. He's from Mount Vernon. I am known as Rick the Dancer. Dancer. How you deal with life is everything. You can't control what happens to you. You have no control over what happens to you, but you have full control over how you respond to it. I took something that I was horrible at, evidently, and I turned it into a career. So much so, by the age of 23, I'm making more money in this career of dancing than most of my friends' parents put together. I grew up with the mindset of not feeling the pressure of everyday living because I made enough money to do what I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do. So where my other friends might have a hard time picking up and saying, let me go here and go there. No, if I wanted to get up and to go do something or to get up and get something, I was able to do it freely. So that even shaped me a little different than the majority of my friends, because at a young age, in my 20s, early 20s, I was already financially set. I was already financially sound. So I didn't grow up with the hang-ups. So I didn't know what it felt like to not have people give you the things you need. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Another part of my life that I wasn't good at, I used to be married. I was married from 1997 to, look at her face. She's like, really? I'm learning all your business? It's like, yeah, but this is a part of what's going to help you grow. You'll see it'll all fit in. From 1987 and separated in 2008, fully divorced by 2010. Not a good part of my life. But while I was married, my wife used to ask me all the time, tell me about your past. Why do you women do that? Tell me about your past relationships, who you dealt with, what was going on with her. Well, I grew up an entertainer. By the time I was in 11th grade, I was already on tour. So by the time I was in my college days, I've been around not all the world, but a large portion of the world. I've been on stages. I've choreographed for shows at the Apollo. I've done shows at Madison Square Garden. I was actually done a show in Madison Square Garden where me alone was dancing with the whole entire stadium watching just me dance. You can turn your negatives into positives. But I'm sharing this portion of my life because how in the world are you going to ask me about relationships? My wife was asking me about relationships when I used to run from person to person. I didn't have a concept of developing a relationship. You went through a hard time with your girlfriend or something of the sort, you kind of just moved on to the next person. You didn't carry it. So when I got married, I never had a full, solid, committed, oh, that's me. That's me when I was young and trying to dance in the party at Harlem. But I'll go back. You know, yeah, I know that the sexy hair. You know, I didn't pay attention that way. My wife wanted a husband, but I had no clue what it took to be like, to find out what's going on. Tell me about this. Now, both of us are in the Word. We're both studying. We had fellowship, Bible study on a regular inside our home. But neither of us, And I'll just speak for myself. I wasn't living it. I wasn't living the position of a leader. You know, my wife was a lawyer. So all the stuff that deal with brains and smarts, I would just leave it up to her to take care of. Oh, you take care of that. I wouldn't, no, don't, you do that, honey. You do that. So much so that I just became a yes man. And even though women would like a guy that's going to side with the things that you like, you don't want someone to yes you to death. You want someone that's going to stand up and say, well, no, honey, I need and we need, and this is what we should do in this predicament. You're going to want it. You're going to want it. But I wasn't that. So when she would ask me these questions, I would just get defensive and like, honey, you don't understand. I lived so many huge moments in my life that details just fall by the wayside. And Eustace can tell you, I would sometimes have to lean to him, and my other buddy is Wayne, to tell me about situations, moments that we shared. He will remember all the details. I would be like, no clue. Well, just like I couldn't dance, I didn't like the fact that I didn't have a good memory. So much so that I started to pay attention to everything. So much so that I can name every single person that's in this room. It could be a handful of people. It could be a room of 250 people. In 1 hour, I could roam around and memorize not only everyone's name, but the majority of the things that they do. I wasn't good at remembering. So should I just test it out? If you're wondering, but you've been around, you know, well, Priscilla, Atlas. I just found out today his government name is Sean. He's from you only know him by like most friends will call me this dancer from back in the days. They wouldn't know that I'm Rick. They would just say dancer. Atlas, Anna. Well, she said I introduced her Anna Davis. Arnitha. Well, Mom or Jerry. Reverend Noble. First Lady Diane. Titi. Kenya. Denise, Eustace, Esmeralda, Priscilla, as you know, Tiffany, Mary Jo, Annette, Denise. Not Mary Jo? What is it? What is it? Tell me. Go ahead, Tiffany. Tell me. What is it? Teresa. Well, there's Mary Jo works for me. Kamara, Kadea, Larry, video guys, Peter. I pay attention so much so that what I will end up doing is speaking to people in a way that you can give me information about yourself. So later on, I can talk to you about yourself. Like I just met Anna Davis, Evander Childs High School, grew up in the Bronx. I heard from someone that she just came back from North Carolina. It's amazing the stuff you will pick up. You know, being able to pay attention allows you the opportunity to love someone. See, love is not something that you do for yourself, even though you should love yourself because of that relationship that you have with you and God. And he'll tell you how to see yourself, what you can do, what you can inspire to do, the power that he has given you because he sacrificed his son, Jesus Christ, for you to live a life that's more than abundant. You know, love is something that you do for someone else. Love is you taking the time out to pay attention to someone so well that you know how to serve up your passions, your likes, your concerns, your dislikes, your wants, your needs in a way that they can receive it and do something with it. Love doesn't say, I'm just keeping it real and I'm just going to say it the way I say it. I'm going to do it just the way I do it. I don't care how much you're loving yourself for doing it. It's not love. It's just not love. Love is you figuring out how to take those things you feel on the inside and present it to people that matter to you in a way that matters to them. Does that make sense? Because you only know what you know. They only know what they know. They are not you, and you are not them. So no matter how much time you spend together, your relationship is 2 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 30 years old, and my parents 52 years old, they are still learning from each other. I'm sorry. And it's amazing to spend time with my mom and dad. You know, we're a very close-knit family, and that's part of what people enjoy about Facebook. You'll see my sister, and if I put a picture with my sister up, my friends are like, oh, look, Andrea, Sandy, oh, that, because they know what it means to me, because we spent time close as a family. Like, you couldn't go through my sisters without dealing with me. That's the type of personality I was. But that's what love is. Love is you figuring out. Yes, you can say love is, much you might want to say if you want to get a particular thing, if you want to manipulate a situation. That's not love. Love is what you do for someone else to not only get them to hear where you're coming from, but to get to the place where they would actually want to do something with that information. Now that's powerful, because you can still feel the way you feel, but if you can't relay it to the person in a way that they can understand it, your need, that want, not need, but want, will never be met. It just can't. It just can't. So that other person not being you and understanding love is something that you do, it frees you up. It frees you up in a way that you will now respond instead of react. Hopefully. Now, you're still human. If your habit is to rant and rave when things not go your way, you're going to still do that. But you might be quicker to retract and say that I'm sorry. You're not, this seminar is not going to change you immediately, but it's going to give you things to think about whenever you do. Since my last seminar, more and more people have texted me and talked to me about how things that I brought up in the seminar, they used in their everyday conversations, or they use in their weekly or monthly conversations. You have to. You have to, because it's no way that a situation is going to come up in a relationship form and parts of this doesn't trigger. Because you'll understand, if the odds are against you to react with anger, judgment, bitterness from things that they might have done before, if the odds are against you, how are you going to get to solve that situation? How? The odds are against you. So if you were to respond with kindness, what's that? 1 Corinthians 13. I'm looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 13. The things that love is. Love is patient. Love is what? What? Love is long suffering. It starts off with how you respond to the world around you. When God defined love, it starts off with 3 things that teaches you how to respond to situations. What? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long suffering. Patience.